Hello, trading is closed on January 26th, 2023. Let's do our disclaimer, go over our calls, and make some predictions. It's my trading plan for tomorrow, Friday, January 27, 2023. Please remember I can be wrong. Any trade you make should be at your own risk. Yesterday I had a plan if we could hold Thursday's high. I said if we didn't hold it, I really didn't have a plan for the rest of the day. We did look for the pattern with the early low, which we got, and tomorrow should also have the early low. We said the pattern tended to be a rally a day with a high in the final hour. We got that. We also had an optional target 40.1956, and that printed. This is a reminder of what we said yesterday. Well, I'm happy to report we can cross some old MEJT targets off the list. One was from last week, earlier this week, I guess, 4,028.02. But we can also cross off one from last year, 4040.02. Now, at the end of last year, I said we had too many unsatisfied MEJT targets, and I thought by year's end, the end of the year 2023, we would cross most, if not all, of those targets off the list. So we had 7 standard targets. It's now down to 6, and we had 3 ultimate targets. And I think as the year marches on, we're going to see those all print. At this early high was resistance from an old FOMC announcement price, 4,048.90. There was also a MEJT sell signal described in my book on page 120, calling for a drop. The drop didn't have to come this fast, didn't have to be that much, but at least the page 120 signal would argue against holding a long position or chasing the rally on today's open. So we got that sell signal. In the afternoon, we got an ultimate signal to buy. That's already played out, but it said that wasn't the end of the game. We have lower targets. There's an optional target, 40.31.50. It should print tomorrow 95% of the time. If not, we'll just forget it. But there's a required target slightly under that, 4,031.24. And that one never goes away. If it doesn't print tomorrow, we'll just keep it on the list. Now this looks like a strong move, but actually it's not. If you look at this early high, you can see that with about 10 minutes left to trade, we hadn't cleared the early high. And this is a pattern which usually rallies strongly throughout the day and leaves this early high and even the midday high in the dust. The fact that you waited until so late in the day to break, it's actually a sign of weakness. This is a wall into the close. Very often it's greeted by gapping down under this low tomorrow. We also, with just a few seconds left to trade, we're trading at the day's high. When you close at exactly the day's high, it's called a Hobson close, and it's very likely to gap down smartly. I'm guessing that coming within a few seconds is going to be close enough. So I'm looking for gapping down tomorrow, but of course you won't know if I'm correct until the open. And if we gap up, all is forgiven, the whole idea is wrong. Let's look at this green line because we have a clean break over that line. It's a very important trend line, and that's a clean break. So if we keep on going higher, we're going to call to mind that when we broke through this trend line here in the straight line, I said I had a rule that we're going to return to that line. So if we keep going up, that's a reasonable target, and that's a lot higher. But rules don't always work, and breaks aren't always valid breaks, and if we can't trade over today's close tomorrow by at least 1 cent, this break does not count. Let's take a look at the wave count. Now I know some other people are calling for a crash here. I'm not one of those people. I think this low is in. I think we've completed wave 1. I think we're still in wave 2. I don't think we're in wave 3. I don't think this ABC was the end of wave 2 because wave 3 is a 5-wave structure and I just can't count this that way. At some point I think we're going to have to end in B of 2, have a C, which could be steep. If it ended here and C is equal to A, we're still in the low 3700s. But after that, I think we're off to the races and have a huge rally. Right now, we're trading over a declining 200-day moving average, and those rallies don't tend to last very long. They tend to peter out. Let's count the waves. I have no doubt there's any number of plausible wave counts here. Just because I can come up with a count that says this rally's over doesn't mean it won't go up, because other counts might work too. If you can't come up with a count that says the rally's over, you can have a reasonable degree of confidence it's not over. But you can count this cleanly as an ABC with good fibs. You look at the internal structure of B, you have A, B, C with good fibs. Look at the internal structure of A, you have A, B, C with good fibs. Everything works, so if we do stop here, you can explain it. Well, tomorrow's pattern has early low. It could still gap up, but I think it's more likely we gap down. There are lower MEJT targets, and unless we gap up smartly, the rules call for them to print. We rallied past resistance today, and if we trade past today's close by 1 cent, that confirms the break. However, the wall into the close and the failure to break over the early high until little time was left to trade are going to make gapping down tomorrow very likely. No guarantees in this world, but I think it's likely. There are 2 totally unrelated timing systems of other people that have today as a high, and these are pretty good people. Timing is not my thing, but each of them has today as a high. Unless we gap up smartly, I think we see lower prices print tomorrow. Doesn't guarantee a lower close, but if the targets print, it's going to be hard to recover into positive territory. So this is a candidate for a high, and if we gap down, we could be starting wave C of 2. If we gap up, the next higher price target I have from the system is 4,083.49. So we'll have to see how we open tomorrow. This is a candidate for the end of the leg. I'm looking still for one more sharp move down to end wave 2, and then it's off to the races on the upside. So this is a candidate for the start of C of 2. We'll see if it works. We have to wait till tomorrow's open to know. We have lower targets. It's a pattern with the early low, and that's today's call.